Hi everyone. If you're new to my channel, my name is Luann, and I am sharing my grief journey from the loss of my husband in March of 2020. And today I want to talk about guilt. I have a lot of it. Something I haven't told y'all before is that when they could no longer treat my husband locally, we live in the southwest corner of Michigan. My husband was given a list of hospitals to go to. And the Mayo Clinic was on there, the University of Chicago was on there, which is close to us, and the University of Michigan, which is a 172-mile trip one way. I chose the University of Michigan for his treatment. I think he wanted to go to Mayo, but something just told me to pick it. He was treated there for 4 years with a dangling carrot of a liver transplant. He jumped through hoops and bent over backwards for them. And we spent every single vacation day, a ton of Saturdays, doing testing and doctor's appointments, and they did MRIs and CT scans and things like that on Saturdays, so we would schedule them when we could so that neither one of us would miss work. The last year that we spent time up there was 2019, and we made 17 trips to the University of Michigan that year. And when Chris's liver cancer got outside of the perimeter of where it could be for a liver transplant, they said, "There's nothing more we can do for you. You don't have to come back." When you spend 4 years of your life doing everything you can to keep someone alive, and then them to just drop you like that, and then going to a local oncologist and him saying, "You got really good treatment, but why didn't they ever do radiation and chemotherapy on you?" And it was then that I realized that Chris was never going to get a liver transplant, that he was the guinea pig for future liver patients. What would work and what wouldn't. The last treatment they did for his liver cancer put so much radiation in him that he couldn't be near our dogs or pregnant women for 7 days after the treatment. That's how much they put in his body. And what they didn't tell us was, and it was targeted just to his liver, it's called a Y90 procedure, where they go in and the 1 week they go in and through the groin, and they map out and close off veins and things, so that when they do this treatment, that they put these tiny little beads, glass beads of radioactive things, radiation, in him, that they would stay in his liver. Well, what they didn't tell him or me was that treatment, even though his liver was in horrible condition, hence being on the list, they didn't tell him that there's no coming back from it. So I do still question, had I let him go to Mayo, would it have been different? Would it have been a different outcome? University of Chicago, would it have been a different outcome? He didn't get liver cancer from poor choices. He was in Vietnam. He came home, and within a couple weeks of coming home, he turned yellow and he had hepatitis C. And they treated him, and then he was going through treatment when I met him. I think he went through 4 hepatitis C treatments to try to get rid of it. And none of those worked, and that's why we were sent to the University of Michigan for a liver transplant. In the first 3 years, they told him he wasn't sick enough, even though he felt horrible all the time. And he drug himself out of bed and went to work every single day. Drove an hour and 15 minutes one way. Up until the day that the local oncologist who tried chemotherapy and a pill told him that his liver couldn't handle it. It wasn't working. So do I live with guilt? You bet. I take comfort in the fact that I believe in God. And I know Chris's story was written. Sorry, I live by a highway. I know Chris's story was written long before he was born. It doesn't make it any easier for me. But grief does ease after some time. But it's days like today that, I don't know, I'm just in a funk. I'm tired. I haven't slept good the last week. I don't know what's on my mind, what's going through my head to keep me awake. Just can't seem to turn my brain off. And at night, it's when it's the worst. Anybody that deals with any problems, everything seems worse at night. Because you're tired, and you're emotional, and you're drained. All I'm just saying is that I know you have guilt, or maybe you don't. I don't know. Some of you have guilt. The what ifs will eat you alive. Just try to give it to God. Try to pray about it. I don't know. You can't fix it. You can't change it. And at the time, you think you're making all the right decisions. Two years before Chris died, second year at the University of Michigan, and they were doing so many tests and everything on him, and he'd been in the hospital and out of the hospital and bleeds, and surgeries and all these things. He looked at me one night and he said, if it wasn't for you, I'd stop all of it. I'd stop all the treatment and just live my life. Sorry. 4th of July is big, apparently, still on the 9th of July. I wish at that point, sorry, took me a minute to come back to it. I wish at that point I would have said, and then retire. He was old enough. I wish I would have told him to retire and let's do some traveling. Let's go see some things that we haven't been able to see because we've spent the last 4 years. So, going back and forth to the hospital. And 2 years before that, doing local treatment. So, the last 6 years we were together was hospital stays and doctor's appointments, and that was our vacations. I wish I would have just said, you know what, do what you want to do because I want you to be happy. I live that too because I pushed him. And you always think you're doing the right thing. I should have let him quit. I should have let him enjoy the last few years he was alive. They kept dangling that carrot. You're going to get a liver transplant, Chris. You're on the list. I wish I would have just let him live out the last 2 years the way he wanted to. So see, guilt hangs on for a while. Even though we know it's not our fault, we all wish we would have done things differently. There's nothing in this lifetime that is going to change it. Just got to work through it. Got to learn to give it to God. Not always easy, as you can tell. So, that's what I wanted to come on and tell you guys tonight, that everybody has guilt. Everybody deals with it differently. I pray about it a lot. Okay, my dogs are going crazy. I am going to sign off for now. Hope you guys have a good week.